The Trojan War took place to control the moon, according to ancient claims. Why the Trojan War? It's known that it all started with the abduction of the quote-unquote beautiful Helen from Paris. But who was this beautiful Helen? According to legend, Zeus fell in love with Nemesis and followed her everywhere in order to make her his own. Because she did not want him, he kept changing his form. In other words, he was a shapeshifter until he became a goose. Zeus became a swan, conquering her erotically. Nemesis became pregnant and gave birth to an egg that contains Eleni, the beautiful Helen, that is. At this point, there are several variations on how this egg arrived with Helen in Sparta and consequently in the hands of Tyndareus. Among other things, two are of interest to us. Plutarch, in his Symposiums, informs us that according to some poets, this egg, quote-unquote, was seen falling from the sky. From Hyginus, we understand that the egg fell directly from the moon. And what is the moon? Okay, this is all according to Plutarch and the ancient Greeks. Now, most of us who work on the subject know the three theories about the origin of the moon. A, it's part of the Earth when the latter was cut into two by a comet. B, when they were formed simultaneously from the same material. Or C, the third theory, that it came from somewhere else. They all have their weaknesses for many different reasons. And the same with the third, the fact that according to Soviet scientists Mikhail Vazin and Alexander Sherbakov, such a large body as the moon compared to our Earth could not have entered orbit under normal conditions. Let's remember that the ancient Greeks also tell us of a time when the moon did not exist. Not only the ancient Greeks, but a lot of other ancient cultures around the world have that legend, that people were on Earth way before the moon was the natural satellite of the Earth. So these two Russian scientists say it could have entered under the orbit it could not enter the orbit under normal conditions, but even if it was attracted to the Earth, then it should have an elongated elliptical orbit, as is the case everywhere in the celestial world in similar cases, and not a completely circular orbit around our Earth. The two Soviets did not simply reject the theory of attraction, but proposed another theory. D, the moon is an artificial satellite of the Earth, which entered orbit around it after the sensitive manipulations of rational beings from space, completely unknown to us. Simply put, the moon is an artificial spaceship or simply an artificial celestial body, and after all, there is a lot of evidence to suggest the moon is an artificial body. This is according to them. In the Orphic hymns of the ancient Greeks, whose knowledge, according to the astronomer Hasapi, reaches at least until 11,860 BC, that's almost 14,000 years ago, we learn that something made another vast earth, which the gods named the moon, and the people called it Min, M-I-N. Quote, it has many mountains, many cities, many mansions, end quote. This is in complete agreement with the theory of the Soviet scientists. So with the right given to us by Homer himself, the ancient Greek Homer, to treat the gods' poetic license, to have chariots and to fly, we adapt the myths about the birth of Helen, the beautiful Helen of Troy. Helen and Clytemnestra were born on the moon, from Leda with Father Zeus. When the daughters were old enough, he put them with their mother in an oval flying chariot, and sent them to Earth, where they landed in the Peloponnese of Greece. That's just south of Corinth. There they acquired Tyndareus as their adopted father. The specific information from Plutarch, Hygienic and Orphic, does not give us the maker or owner of the moon, nor where the moon came from. However, Jupiter would not have offspring, that is Zeus. Jupiter would not have offspring in hostile territory, and since we're talking about Jupiter, logically Zeus, the moon should belong to him, By the same token, we assume that Helen, as the firstborn, carried in the egg with her an unprecedented inheritance, the ownership of the moon. With the abduction of Helen from Paris, the legacy would pass to the other side, to the Trojans, who are indicated by David Icke to be ruled or controlled by the Brotherhood of the Reptilians. Unfortunately for the beautiful Helen, the war was not only about her beautiful eyes, but about who would have controlled the moon, which arrived, quote-unquote, under special conditions and with a special purpose. After all, was the moon a vehicle for boarding and disembarking souls, an artificial spaceship, or something else? And finally, who has the control of moon today? And this I've translated for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.